In this video, we're going to take a look at how to place two separate logos on this wine box. We're going to use the laser pointer to locate the two locations that are marked on the box by the black dots. We could do this in CorelDraw by laying this out as one page layout, but for this tutorial, we'll take a look at how we use the laser head to locate both locations, set up two separate home locations, one for each logo. This shows us the strength of the Trotec Laser software and laser machine. Using this type of method for locating images on the products that we want to laser engrave can be advantageous when we actually have to put more than one logo or position text or other items on the product that we're laser engraving, and we actually need two locations or three locations or four and so forth. In this example, I'm going to use two different logos and I'm going to put them on the same wine box. And I'm going to use the same method I used previously to locate these logos. You notice I've got two pages created here. The first page is the original logo we worked with. The second page is the second logo we're going to work with. You'll also notice that I've got different page sizes for each logo. And you can do this in CorelDraw. It's quite easy. When you go to Layout and you go to Page Setup, you can actually say Apply Size to Current Page Only. So in this case, I've got 3.3 by 2.3, and if I go to the other page, you notice I've got 3.3 by 3.3, and if I go to the setup, you'll notice here 3.3 by 3.3. So again, I can send both these jobs over to the laser machine, and we can do the same thing that we did before. Now the only problem with the print driver is the fact that it can only send over one page size to the laser machine. In this case here, I could send over both the same size. It wouldn't be too big of a deal, but just for example's sake, I wanted to send over the two different page sizes. So I need to send the jobs over as two separate jobs. That's quite easy to do. Just going to go File, Print, or Control P. I'm going to say the current page, Preferences, 3.3 by 2.3. I'm going to go File, Print. Just as a note, if I had sent over both pages, I could have done it as 3.3 by 3.3, and that would have been all right. And the nice thing about that is it would have sent both pages. I would have been able to, and both jobs would have been over on the same print job. But in this case, it's not that big of a deal. I'm going to go to page 2. I'm going to go File, Print. I'm going to go to Preferences. You notice on the print preview that my image isn't fitting on the page because this page is a little bit bigger. So I'm going to work with 3.3. And you notice now with the print preview that my job looks great on the page. I'm going to go File, Print. And if I go over to Job Control, I have both logos now in the print queue. Now you notice on my box, on my wine box I'm working with, I've actually got some masking on there, which sort of allows me to do a test print if I want, but it also allows me in this case to mark out the locations that I want to put the two logos in. You can see on the box here that I've got two marks, one right here and one here. I'm going to put both logos right there. First I've got to find the marks. That's quite easy to do, as we did before. I'm going to move the head over and bring it down. Now I'm right over top of the first mark. Now in this case here, as I did before, I'm going to press the F8 key, which actually is add marker to the laser, which is F8. And now what I can do now is I can actually move this down to the second location. And now I've got my second location, and again I can press F8 again. Pressing F8 is easy because now I actually have two markers now for where I'm going to put the actual logo. So now I can slide my head out of the way and I can bring my two logos in for the job. So here's my first logo. I'm going to bring that in. It's going to snap up to the first marker, and then I'm going to grab my second one and I'm going to drag it in, and it's going to snap up to the second one. So you can actually see I've got both logos on the actual box now in the perfect locations. And again, if I want, I can actually right click on this and do an outline on the actual job. So I can get a quick visual location just to see, to make sure that actually the logo is in the proper position that I want it to be in. Now you notice that it only did the one logo because I only had the one logo selected on the screen. So that allows me, if I want to just test the location of the one, I can. Or if I want, I can select both logos and then right click and then say outline jobs. And now it'll outline both jobs. So the Trotec Job Control actually has the ability to actually laser engrave one logo at a time or all the logos at a time. Just depends on how we select them. So you can see now I'm progressing down to the second logo and it's outlining that logo. So this makes it very easy for me to locate my product on my logos on the product that I want to work with. Now that I'm happy with the job, I can basically go ahead and run it. In this case, I would run with the mask on because I don't want to have any staining on my edges, because this is raw wood and I don't want to sand it. I just basically want to etch through the actual mask, and I don't want any staining to happen on outside of my laser engraved logo on the actual wine box itself. As you can see, this is an excellent way of being able to place logos on objects where we actually don't have an actual location that we can find very easily. Nice thing about Job Control now is I can actually save this setup too if I want. So I can come up to File, and I can go Save, and I can call this Wine Box. And if we close this down, and we can come back in 3 years down the road, go File, Open, go back to my wine box, and there's my job already set up again. So the nice thing about this is that the only way you could typically have done this in the old days would be to do this on an actual in Corel, locate everything, and then save the job in Corel. With Trotec, with the Job Control software, I actually don't have to actually have that limitation. I can actually save the job file, which I've used the laser to do my locating of the actual locations. I can, if I even want to, if I don't want to save the actual logos with the job, I can say remove this job, remove this job. And because I've got my markers on the job here, I can actually save that job too. So if I come Save As, and we call this Wine Box 1, and I close this job down, and I open up the Wine Box 1 job, you notice that the markers are here. Then I can grab my logos and I can bring them out and say I want that logo to be there, and I want this logo to be here, and you notice it'll snap right to the actual markers I've got on the job. So again, if you're doing this as a jig layout, or you've got some special locations for certain products, again, you may want to just save the actual location files as opposed to having the jobs embedded with the job. So you can do it either way. Or again, if you want, you can open up the job and you can again just remove these so that you can bring in different logos. So very, very powerful software, very easy to do, gives you lots of ability to do some things that are quite hard to do if you don't have this ability. The final part of this discussion, we're going to take a look at why we want to send over the plate size as the logo size. This is very easy to see. If I come in here and let's say, for example, I decide I want to make this 24 by 12, because maybe that's the standard size I'm working with all the time. So let's get rid of this job here, and I want to locate this job, and let's assume that it's right there where it's supposed to be. I'm going to go File, Print. And in this case, my page size now is going to be 12 by 20, or it's going to be 24 by 12. And you notice here, here's my logo here. I go File, Print, and I send that job over to the job control software. So the problem with that job now is that if I bring this job over, you see I've got this big plate size now on here, and it makes it a lot harder for me to locate my job. In this case, I can't even get the logo into the middle here because I've got this is actually this gray here. This is basically my 12 by 24 page size I've sent over. So again, this page size is way too big and doesn't allow me to put in a job properly so I can locate it. And if I want to do two logos, I can't get two 12 by 24s on here because in this case here my bed size is 17 by 29 inches, so I can't even get away with putting two logos on here. So if you wanted to work with two logos, then basically you want to work with page size that's the size of the actual, well, a little bit bigger than the size of the logo that you're working with. And typically what I typically do is I always work, when I send over logos like this, I don't send them over as 12 by 24. I always send them over just a little bit bigger than the actual logo itself. This gives me a lot more flexibility when I want to do a location on the page where I want to be able to use the red dot pointer to locate. If I'm working with a 5 by 7 and say a 6 by 8 plaque, well then I'm probably going to send over a 6 by 8 page size because I'm going to do all my layout in CorelDraw and then send it over. Or if I'm working with a 12 by 24 sheet of material and I want to generate all my logos and cut lines and everything in Corel, then I want to do that there. But for this type of an operation, it's better to send over the job page size so that it reflects the logo size, so it's easier to find and position your logo.